Grandma suddenly won't eat anymore. This was the story of a family I met in the emergency room last week. Their 90-year-old grandmother had been refusing food for 3 days straight and was sleeping constantly. The family was panicked. Just a few days earlier, their grandmother had been acting normally. So why was this happening all of a sudden? Could she be sick somewhere? Should we get hospital tests done? The family's questions continued, but surprisingly, all the test results came back normal. So what was happening to their grandmother? Stick with us until the end of today's story. You'll learn how to lower your medical bills without needing medicine or frequent hospital visits. It could truly change the rest of your life. I've got a quick favor to ask. If you want more health secrets, please subscribe right now. Hitting like and subscribe is totally free, but the value you'll get for your health is priceless. Also leave the number 1 in the comments below. That one click from you means so much and helps us make more videos. Don't forget to share this with someone you care about. Your personal experience could be a huge help to so many others. The truth is, situations like this are far from uncommon. According to statistics, about 80% of people over 65 experience similar changes during their final weeks of life. As we age and approach the end of our lives, our bodies silently send us various signals. However, many families misunderstand these changes as diseases or emergency situations, causing unnecessary pain and stress. Today, I want to talk about a topic that many of you are curious about, but find difficult to discuss openly: the natural physical changes that elderly individuals experience as they approach the end of their lives. Meet Mr. William Thompson. He's 83 years old this year. He's been healthy his entire life, but recently, his family has noticed some changes. His daughter-in-law, Jennifer, puts it this way: Dad used to be the first one at the dinner table every mealtime, but lately he keeps saying, "I'm not hungry," or "I'll eat later." He's not drinking much water either. When we try to encourage him to eat, he gets irritated and says, "Why do you keep telling me to eat?" At first, they thought it was simply because he wasn't feeling well. But 1 week, 2 weeks passed, and the situation didn't improve. Even when they made his favorite pot roast or scrambled eggs, he would take only 1 or 2 spoonfuls before saying, "I'm full," and putting down his fork. "Grandpa, at least take your medicine. Just 1 sip of water." Even when his grandson pleaded, he would shake his head and say, "I'm not thirsty." There were increasingly days when he couldn't even drink a single cup of water all day. Have you ever experienced something like this? Perhaps you've worried when watching your parents or elderly relatives suddenly lose their appetite. You might have wondered whether to take them to the hospital or get them IV fluids. Actually, decreased appetite with age is a natural phenomenon. As our body's metabolism gradually slows down, our energy requirements decrease. Especially in the final stages of life, the body needs rest more than food. Several physiological changes work together here. Gastrointestinal motility decreases, making digestion slower, and hormone secretion also changes. Additionally, smell and taste become dulled, making it impossible to enjoy food flavors like before. Swallowing function also weakens, making it difficult to get food down. The body even naturally secretes substances like endorphins to prevent feeling hungry. This is a protective mechanism where the body shields itself. However, for families, these changes can be incredibly confusing and worrying. Thoughts like, shouldn't we force them to eat? What if they become malnourished? Or what if they starve to death? Led family members to continuously offer food. But what's important during this time is not trying to force food. Actually, forcing food can cause vomiting or dangerous situations where food enters the airway. Instead, it's better to offer small amounts of their favorite foods when they want to eat. Mr. Thompson's changes weren't limited to appetite. This man, who used to wake up religiously at 5 a.m., began sleeping until 10 or 11 a.m. more frequently. He also dozed off often during the day. "Grandpa, time for lunch." Even when his grandson called out to him, he wouldn't wake up easily. When he did wake up, he'd look confused and say, "Huh? What did you say?" before closing his eyes again. At first, the family thought, he must be tired because he's getting older. But when he began sleeping 16-18 hours a day continuously, they started to worry. "Grandpa, if you sleep too much, your muscles will get weak. Please stay up for a bit." But when they forced him to wake up, he would get irritated, or even when awake, he'd fall asleep again within minutes. What was even more surprising was that even when he was awake, he was different from before. This man, who used to read the newspaper thoroughly and was interested in the news, would just stare blankly at the TV even when it was on. He also had trouble concentrating during conversations with family. "Grandpa, we told you yesterday that we went to the hospital." "Hospital? When?" "Yesterday. Don't you remember?" "Did we? I don't really remember." He even forgot things that happened a few days ago, or confused family members' names. This was someone who used to ask about his grandson's school grades in detail. Sometimes he would mumble in his sleep, "Mother is calling me." "Father, where are you going?" He would look for his parents, who had already passed away. Seeing this made the family even more confused. "Honey, Grandpa is saying strange things. Could he be developing dementia?" This too is a natural response from a body approaching the end of life. As the body's energy decreases, brain activity also diminishes. The focus shifts inward rather than toward the external world, toward rest rather than wakefulness. The brain maintains only the minimum functions necessary for survival, gradually reducing higher-order functions like memory and cognition. This is the body's natural strategy to conserve energy and maintain life longer. Also, as oxygen supply decreases, some areas of the brain may experience phenomena like hallucinations or delusions. Seeing or feeling like they're talking to family members who have already passed away is part of these changes. Many families ask, "Grandpa is sleeping too much. Should we wake him up?" Or, "Could he be developing dementia?" But this sleep isn't simply due to fatigue or dementia. It's a process where the body is protecting itself and seeking comfort. Memory decline is also a natural phenomenon that occurs as the brain's energy concentrates only on functions essential for sustaining life. A few days later, changes appeared in Mr. Thompson's breathing as well. His usually regular breathing became irregular. Sometimes he breathed deeply and rapidly, other times shallow and slowly. Occasionally, he seemed to stop breathing for 10 or 20 seconds at a time. The family became very anxious watching this, especially at night when they heard rattling sounds. Their worry increased even more. His daughter-in-law, Jennifer, stayed by his side all night, constantly checking in case his breathing stopped. "Grandpa, are you okay? Is it hard to breathe?" But Mr. Thompson would say, "I'm fine," or often wouldn't respond at all. At first, they suspected illnesses like a cold or pneumonia. They took his temperature and listened carefully to his cough. But there was no fever and his cough wasn't severe. Should we get him an oxygen machine? Should we give him IV fluids to boost his strength? The family asked the medical staff various questions, wondering if they should pursue some kind of aggressive treatment. What was even more surprising was the change in breathing patterns. He would take 5 to 6 deep breaths, then suddenly breathe shallowly, then seem to stop for a moment before breathing deeply again. It was like waves coming in and going out. At night, the situation seemed more serious. The sounds from his throat kept the family awake. They couldn't stop worrying, what if Grandpa can't breathe? What if he's in pain? This is a phenomenon called Cheyne-Stokes respiration, a breathing pattern commonly seen in the final stages of life. It's a natural change that occurs as the brain's respiratory control center weakens. The respiratory center in the brainstem detects carbon dioxide levels in the blood to regulate breathing. When this function weakens, breathing becomes irregular and sometimes temporarily stops. The sounds coming from the throat are caused by accumulated secretions, and in many cases, the patient doesn't feel discomfort from this. It's similar to the phlegm sounds when we have a cold, but at this time, there isn't enough strength to expel secretions through coughing. Also, the swallowing reflex weakens, causing saliva and secretions to collect in the airway. This vibrates with each breath, creating the rattling sound. Often, it's the family members listening who suffer more than the patient. In these situations, rather than trying to forcibly remove secretions or artificially assist breathing, it's more helpful to position them comfortably and create a quiet environment. Raising their head slightly and turning it to the side can help secretions flow out naturally. When they held Mr. Thompson's hand, it felt colder than before. His fingernails also looked slightly blue. His pulse wasn't as strong as it used to be either. "Grandpa, your hands are so cold. Are you okay?" But Mr. Thompson said he wasn't cold. At first, they thought it was simply because the weather was cold. They covered him with warm blankets and paid attention to keeping him warm. But even when they raised the room temperature and covered him with thick blankets, his hands and feet remained cold. After a few days, the changes became more pronounced. Starting from his fingertips to his elbows, from his toes to his knees, he gradually became colder and paler. Sometimes there was even a slight purple tint. What surprised the family more was the change in his pulse. His usually regular pulse of 70-80 beats per minute slowed to 50-60 beats, or sometimes exceeded 100 beats. The pulse strength also weakened, making it often difficult to detect at the wrist. Grandpa's pulse is so weak. Could there be a problem with his heart? His blood pressure also changed. His usual blood pressure of 130/80 dropped to 90/50. This caused him to feel dizzy or sway when standing up. Skin color changes were also noticeable. His face became pale and his lips also lost color, especially when pressing on his fingernails. It took longer than usual for the color to return. This is a change that occurs as heart function weakens. As the heart's ability to pump blood throughout the body diminishes, it prioritizes sending blood to vital organs like the brain, heart, and lungs that are most critical for sustaining life. As a result, peripheral areas like hands and feet receive less blood supply, making them appear cold and pale. This is the body's natural priority setting. It's the body's strategy to concentrate limited energy and blood on the most important organs to maintain life as long as possible. Additionally, blood vessel elasticity decreases, and the amount of blood itself also reduces. As dehydration progresses, blood can become thicker. All these changes work together to cause overall circulatory system dysfunction. At this time, family members can help by covering the patient with warm blankets or gently massaging them. However, there's no need to force the body to warm up. Electric blankets or hot packs can actually risk burns, so caution is needed. Finally, Mr. Thompson began having difficulty going to the bathroom. His urine output decreased significantly, and he occasionally had accidents. Having lived his entire life with dignity and cleanliness, he seemed very sorry and embarrassed to show this side of himself to his family. "It's okay, Dad. It can't be helped." Although the family warmly comforted him, Mr. Thompson remained upset about it. "To think I've become like this?" he would sigh, which also pained the family's hearts. The color of his urine also changed. It was darker yellow or brown than usual, and sometimes had a reddish tint. This was another change that worried the family. The weakening of kidney and bladder function is also a natural process. The amount of fluid the body needs decreases, and the kidney's ability to filter waste products declines. The bladder muscles also weaken, reducing the ability to control urination. During this time, it's most important to preserve the patient's dignity and provide warm care, so they don't feel ashamed. Approaching with the mindset that Grandpa took care of us his whole life, now it's our turn to take care of Grandpa, can be comforting for everyone. Through Mr. Thompson's story, we've examined various physical changes that occur in the final stages of life. Decreased appetite, increased sleep, breathing changes, reduced circulation, weakened elimination function. None of these are abnormal or frightening. These are natural processes as our bodies prepare for the end of life. Just as leaves turn yellow and fall when autumn comes, our bodies also organize themselves when the time comes. What's important is not trying to forcibly prevent or reverse these changes. Rather, it's about naturally accepting this process and helping to spend the remaining time as comfortably and meaningfully as possible. So what should families do? Regarding meals, first, don't force food. Instead, try moistening their lips or offering small sips of their favorite beverages. They often prefer soft, cool foods like ice cream or fruit juice. Regarding sleep, second, don't try to wake them frequently. Create a comfortable environment for rest and be there when they're awake. Maintain appropriate room temperature and humidity and adjust lighting so it's not too bright. Regarding breathing, third, don't panic, even if their breathing seems uncomfortable. Raise their head slightly and create a quiet, peaceful atmosphere. Using a fan to help air circulation can also be helpful. Emotional care. Fourth, hold their hand and share warm words. Hearing is said to be the last sense to remain. Tell them, "I love you and thank you" often. Playing music they enjoyed can also be a great comfort. Preserving dignity. Fifth, preserve their personal dignity. Maintain cleanliness and provide warm care so they don't feel embarrassed. Even if they need to wear adult diapers, help them carefully without damaging their self-esteem. Family mindset. Sixth, families must also take care of themselves. Caregiving is like a marathon. You need the stamina and mental strength to last until the end. Take turns caring and seek professional help when needed. Life and death are part of nature's order. It's also a process we'll all experience someday. If we understand these changes in advance, we can be less panicked and more warmly bid farewell to our loved ones when that moment comes. Today's video covered a difficult topic, but I hope it has been helpful to you. Thank you for thinking through this with me. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments anytime. And if you know someone who might need this information, I'd appreciate it if you could share this video. I'll return with more beneficial content next time. Stay healthy.